Welcome back to the Homestand Show. James Sharman here alongside Justin Pooney. The boys of summer were in action this past weekend. Felt like winter for two of those three games.
Yeah.
Some good, some not so good. Let's break it down now with NorthStar Bets, Jordan Horrobin. Jordan, thanks for joining us here, mate. All right, so there were some flashes, and that first game in particular was fantastic. Games 2 and 3, not so much. What were your positives you took out of the opening series against St. Louis for the Jays?
I mean, I think the offense is still a huge positive. Obviously, Saturday's game, they only were able to plate one run there, but they had 10 walks. I mean, if you can have 10 guys walk every single game, that's obviously not going to happen. But if you can get 10 guys on even, whether they are walking or hitting every game, you're already in a pretty good spot. So I think, for their down game to be one run, but they still got, double-digit guys on base, and then they had 10 runs in the first game, and even that third game, 4 across, and they were threatening a lot. I think offense is the big positive. Obviously, on the pitching side, there was some good and some not so good and some horrible from Chris Bassett. But hey, it's one start. Can't freak out about that.
Before we get to Chris Bassett, I want to talk about Alek Manoah. Again, he didn't have the best showing on opening night, went 3 1/3 innings, allowing 9 hits, 2 home runs. But I think the biggest thing to me was his command of pitches. He was kind of all over the place, didn't have control of his pitches. Is that a cause for concern, or was this just kind of like a one-off for Alek Manoah?
I don't think it is a cause for concern. I mean, again, we could have this conversation again in 2 or 3 weeks, and if the command is still lacking, it becomes a lot greater of a concern. But I think for Manoah, he's certainly someone we know is not short on confidence. I don't think it's something that is going to get in his head or be an issue that he carries into his next start. And he's a guy who loves to attack hitters. He wants to beat you with his best stuff. So I would say, no, we can chalk this up as a one-off, at least for now. It's only been one start, and go from there.
I wonder if we can chalk off Chris Bassett as a one-off. Not a great start to his Blue Jays career with 2 home runs in the first 3 pitches. Now he called his own pitches. We know that. Used PitchCom, which I did a lot of research on this weekend. I now know what PitchCom is, I think, Jordan. But overall, listen, this guy's got, an array of pitches. We know that. We keep hearing about it in the media. His manager tells us all the time about the array of pitches he has. But what can Chris Bassett be? Surely better than we saw on Sunday.
I mean, if he's not better than we saw on Sunday, then he's not worth that $63 million deal, even one penny. But I think in terms of who he should be a calming presence in the middle of this rotation. And it sounds crazy to say that if you're only basing it off of that first start, but if you look at his body of work over his career, he really has been a middle to front end rotation guy, which is what the Blue Jays believe that they're paying for here. So I think with Bassett, it was an absolute horror show, and to see 2 home runs on the first 3 pitches of the game is obviously crazy. But he's a guy who, and I was reading this, Keegan Matheson from MLB.com after the game, Bassett is not a guy who's gonna dump this one and move on. He wants to look at every detail of it, and said that they will, and they'll see, was he tipping pitches? Was there something about maybe his arm angle or his delivery point? All sorts of things. So there's a million and one ways to break down a start and break down mechanics. It sounds like Bassett is going to do that because he's clearly not satisfied with a career high 4 home runs and a career high 9 runs allowed. So a lot to look forward to see what he's able to do in his next time out.
Now let's take a look at the bats. Has there been one guy with the bat that's been really impressive to you? Has there been a guy like Matt Chapman who's batting .500? Again, super small sample size, 3 games, but has anybody on the offense really stood out to you so far?
I mean, you nailed it with Matt Chapman. He's got a 60% hard hit rate so far. Again, we're talking very, very small samples here, but of the 10 balls he's put in play, 6 of them have been 95 miles an hour exit velocity or higher. It's a great sign when you're hitting the ball hard. So he's already got 6 hits. He had a pair of doubles, I believe, on Sunday. And yeah, he's really been hitting the cover off the ball. Nice to have in the bottom third of your lineup, and maybe he won't stay there for that reason. I do also want to just highlight Vladdy really quickly, because maybe his hitting numbers are not quite there yet. Again, 3 games, we can say that caveat all day long. But his patience, especially on Saturday, was exceptional. Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals and a couple other of the pitchers were having an issue throwing strikes, and Vladdy was not chasing as he did a lot last year. He saw 34 pitches in his 5 plate appearances, which is really, really great. He walked 3 times. So if you had a total bases prop on him on Saturday, you probably weren't too thrilled about that. But if you're just a Blue Jays fan, you want Vladdy to get on base. He was doing that excellently, and I think the patience is something that, if he carries through, will be huge for him this season.
And listen, we all know Jays fans, right? They're a delicate bunch. Off to KC starting tonight, of course, for a 4-game series. Berrios in action, then Kikuchi. What would you say is the level of anxiety this early in this season for Jays fans? Because we know Jays fans, it doesn't matter whether it's game 1 or game 162, they're going to be nervous.
Yeah, it's almost not a coincidence that a lot of them are Leafs fans too, right? But I would say the anxiety shouldn't be too high yet. I mean, come on, we're in the first turn of the rotation here. The Royals are not supposed to be a very good team this year, so you'd like to win 2 or 3 of these games. But I think with Berrios and Kikuchi, again, it's just an opportunity to see the strides that they hopefully made in the offseason. All the flowery talk of the spring training is over with, and it's time to put this into action. So for Berrios, you really want to see a guy to limit hard contact, and he fills the strike zone, but maybe he's filling it a little too much. So can he kind of work the corners a little more? With Kikuchi, let's get in the zone. He struck out a lot of guys last year, a lot of missed bats, but at the same time, a lot of pitches that just simply didn't hit the zone. He walked way too many guys. So they have different issues to work on, but a lot, again, to pay attention to for both these guys in this series.
Jordan, thanks so much for this. Like we keep saying, and we will keep saying for the next little while, it's really early. We know that not the greatest of starts, but also not the worst of starts. But yeah, lots of baseball to talk about in the coming months. Thanks so much.
Tons. Thank you. Cheers, guys.